Greetings. You join us. Okay, so this is Monday, Tuesday, whatever day this is. Actually, Tuesdays aren't those days when the elitist agendas, like 9/11 was on a Tuesday, I think it was. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, it's hard to say where things are going right now. So the timeline shifts that are going on, weather manipulations, and alien politics. All it sounds like entertaining, you know, healthy, educational subject matters. So like last Friday, I think I had like an energy attack from my job, and so it took me like 3 days to recover. I think I'm doing a little bit better, and my job isn't going away apparently. No, that's like my regular third dimensional job where all the goblins work and things like that. It's a great time to be alive. So yeah, there's not much I can do about that. It won't go away. It's kind of like cancer. It won't die. It won't. You can't cut it off. As much as I want to cut it off, it won't cut off. So I just have to deal with it. I guess it could be worse. It's like having a lobotomy. But anyway, um, the timeline shifts. Now, there's different ways of looking about this. So things are kind of weird. It's like, especially the weather manipulations that are going on, which I felt that today actually. I wasn't really thinking about it because usually they don't want you to think about it. I'm looking at it, today just felt not right. Then again, what day ever does? They're implanting, seeds for timelines, messing with reptilians do this, other beings do this too. So, but there's different scenarios. This might not be the best way of looking at things. So, not that this will happen, but we're going to like a timeline where either they'll blow everything up, which I don't think is going to happen, but you never know. War with China, which that doesn't look like that's going to happen. It might, but it seems like that those war drums really calmed down recently. They were serious about it, and then it died. So we'll see how that goes. September maybe, but even September it's not clear because they're not really doing anything. I don't think so. They did drills and all that, but then that kind of died out. So I haven't paid much attention to it recently. Their economy is not doing great, but the other thing is just that we're a part of a politics, the political landscape, and messing with people's minds and things like that. Not that anybody needs to pay attention to that, because that's just it's just a dead energy basically. But I mean, the politics, we're in a political year, so they're just messing with people left and right. So things do not feel, yeah, this everything feels kind of off, not completely off, but feels like there's just nothing's making a whole lot of sense. So I think it has to, from what I'm gathering, I could be wrong. It could be war, it could be all be blown to smithereens. I doubt that's going to happen though, but we should never know. Take us out of our misery. I don't think we're that lucky. And again, don't worry, the ministers of the churches and all that come to save us anyway. God help us. So I'm not going to go too much in that. But yeah, it's like a political energy. So at least that's the vibe I'm getting from right now. So we'll tap into the energies of it. We're going to some alien politics. We'll let the aliens talk about their politics with our world. And of course, the weather manipulations. So it's happened to the timeline itself. Let's see what it has to say. Obviously, it's not going to go into full detail. It never does. It's going to give us a run around because we have to go through it. And it's like there's only so far you can go. I mean, if you want to get like the trueness of what's happening here, then all of a sudden your brain starts to melt or something like that. Seriously though, you can have health problems if you tap too deeply into what's going, because they don't want us to know. So we're just here to play the game, basically. That's all we can do. The rest of society, obviously, is being programmed as usual. Just they're obviously not going through the easiest lifetimes, but still, they're still part of the program society. that is the place to be. But some of us are not part of that anymore. We're like too outside the matrix. My channel, just this channel alone, get so manipulated. It's just like they don't want me to get any attention at all. I can do whatever I want, though. I mean, I get some attention, but it's still, I'm like blacklisted basically. Obviously, at least I'm still here. But my channel is practically just, just gotta deal with it. I mean, the shadow ban extreme. All the shadow banning that they can think of is on my channel, apparently. I mean, at least I'm still breathing here for now. With some political stuff, I'm not going to go obviously for too much detail on that. Nobody cares anyway. But if you're wondering why this, it's like we're being politically screwed with. At least that's the vibe I'm getting. At least that's part of it. There's probably more to it than that. I mean, they're not going to blow us to smithereens. It'll make things a lot easier. But they're not going to do that. So, yeah, just continue the weirdness. Be yourselves. Be bizarre. Let the rest of the world figure out if they want to stay shut down or start awaken to some. Yeah, the grass is greener over here. Actually, no. It's actually better to be shut down, but then again, you're stuck here forever. So maybe that's not so great after all. It is incarnate over and over and over and over and forever. So maybe that's not so great. Yeah, it does have its lighter sides about it though. So Avatar Comic 5 sessions. You have the schedule. We have the shop here. Move something around. We have a shop on the 11th somewhere. Same situation here with a webinar Wednesday. Social networking behind the scenes. Okay, over Target and the Target, on top of the Target, whatever it is. Yeah, the weather manipulations, the weather stuff. I mean, we're like the frog, we're in the pan to turn up the heat, and we can't always pick up what's going on. We're not supposed to, and so on. So the timeline energy would tap into that. Yeah, the weather manipulations, which are obviously there are many. I think in some places, there's droughts going on. What was it? Vegas got hit pretty heavily with storms. I think Dallas is getting hit too, which is kind of. I think they've had it before, but still. And it's raining here. Actually, it's raining right now, actually. Well, sort of. Something like that. You can hear thunder. All right, and then the aliens talking about their politics. We'll go into that. So, all right. Blessings. Here we go. Greetings to you. The energies from the main timeline. Of course, there's many voices, many beings, many opinions, control freaks, money manipulators, timeline wars of all types. Every type of timeline war you can think of is going on. It's happening all the time, though. It's not just now. Well, yes, you can say some political figures want a certain timeline to occur, and there is a military energy there to make it happen. When I take in sides, I'm not saying which side, you will discover it, but there is, you can say, energy attacks going between two different political sides. I think you know who those are, at least in the United States. And yes, it's similar to like how religion is to brainwash the public. It's very similar. And it's working, as you can see. Now, politics has its own religious, mind control, as you can see. Some aren't too big on religion, but they are big on politics, and that has its own mind control. And obviously, the alien energies has its own mind control also. The alien's going to come and save you, or whatever it might be, whatever detail that you're looking for. But the timeline here is, yes, very severe health-wise. It can cause depression because there are certain beings here that want to have certain timelines, certain outcomes to occur. And they don't care what they do. They really don't care if people do go crazy. As you can see, they're really they're putting the heat on more than they usually do. And do these beings get karma? Yes, but they don't really care as long as they get what they want. So you're seeing that currently. Now, once again, these are both sides of the political platform are doing this. That plays a part of it. Yes, China, yes, has calmed itself down. It's still pretty angry overall. It still wants to dominate the world, which it does in a lot of ways. But military-wise, it has stepped down quite a bit for now. As for Russia, Russia has a lot of diverse energies. Russia, yes, is weakening within itself, the country itself, as you can see, but it is getting help from China and other forces behind the scenes. So that's going to continue on as long as it needs to. There is an end point, but it's not yet. It's trying to prove a point, but the mission has not been accomplished. That's why that's still continuing on. But as for the timeline itself, there is many souls connected to the timeline, meaning that are souls that are, you say, brainwashed. It's kind of like you have a timeline of, it's kind of like a timeline of individuals pulled into it. So it's, how many they can brainwash into a certain mindset. It's like putting all these people onto a bus, a timeline of direction. And so it's trying to get certain people to think a certain way. So it doesn't mean that one will lose. I mean, this one side might lose, the other side might lose. It doesn't really matter. It's the mindset. It's to get you off, get your minds off of what's really going on here. The UN is always manipulating the vibrations. There are alien forces here. If you clear out all the politics for like a week, just get rid of it altogether. Not that many of you care anyway. But if you truly just put a pause on it and just clear it out, most likely you'll see your aliens pretty quickly. Even the religious energies that has to be healed also. You heal the paranoia of that. And you'll see your aliens here pretty quick. Because you're not going through that depression energy that other people are going through. Not that you have, but others do. And you're feeling it. You're feeling what others are going through. Many of you actually clear it out a lot, but you're feeling the anxiety of others. And now is the time to do a clearing of that also. Some of you might go through a lot mentally, and a lot of that's not your stuff. That's other. It's the stuff of other. You're feeling the manipulation that's going into other, your other individuals that are around, family members, whoever it might be. And many of you are very sensitive, and you're feeling it. It's like they're shooting a laser into everybody. Like I say, some might feel it, some don't. But imagine some of you do feel it. So blessings. Brings to you. This is the consciousness of HARP, weather manipulation. There is, yes, a reptilian presence that's here, that's controlling society, the thought patterns to a certain level. Basically, the weather is used for agendas. So when it's like a rain, or let's put it for a drought, it's usually there's a manipulation, of course, going on to many, like a place like Arizona is getting a lot of visitors from other places. So they don't want it to be disturbed by weather, you can say. That's one way of looking at it. So it can also mean your military is moving also. So some might feel like, why don't you get rain? Well, they don't want that interference. So just that means there's movement going on. Let's put it that way. In places like in Arizona or other places in the world, especially Africa. Africa is always having some kind of movement. Well, it's Africa, so they can get away with a lot more there. Your place where it has flash floods, it is making it difficult. It's an attack, basically. When it's unusual, out of nowhere, it's usually it can be political. Much of it is, and a lot of it is galactic. If they can't burn the place, they'll flood it. Burning doesn't always work. As you know, California is, you can say it's not necessarily allowed to happen, but it occurs anyway. And yeah, California is kind of like, be careful of that subject matter. It's basically an elitist state. That's where much of your elites are. It's basically California is basically alien. Now you can make it well there, but it can also be ruined there at the same time. Of course, you can have that anywhere, but California seems to be a place of a little bit of everything. It's kind of like it. California, in a lot of ways, rules your world. Sometimes even more than your queen, your Elizabeth in Britain. There are times when California takes over. Some of you might see that. There's New York is involved, yes, but sometimes California rules your planet for a couple of days. So that's it's a very fragile state, technically. It's not. There's really nothing like it. Not really, nothing like that. It has its own military. It has a great. I mean, every state has a military, but California is just very unusual, as some of you might realize. With the weather manipulations, yes. Well, California, there's areas in California where they're actually sending off these agendas of weather manipulations. Doesn't mean that technology is there. It's other places around the world. A lot of it's silent, a lot of it's four dimensional, and so on. Now, not to worry about these things. Not to focus too deeply into it. There is a draconian presence that the draconians can be very paranoid, extremely. There's Palladian beings that can also be paranoid. Basically, an alien group can be very obsessed with your world, and another Palladian group that's trying to help you can get scared. And it's just they're not that much different than humans, really. They're galactic, they're on a ship, but they can go through anxiety just like you. They're taught to clear that out. Obviously, top officials there to clear out that anxiety, but still, they can still be hit by it. And some of you experience that. You feel an alien being that's worried. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. Usually, they keep their feelings at bay. Sometimes they're not sure if they can protect this planet. It's the humans are absorbing and manipulate not everybody, but quite a few. They absorb the manipulations because they want to learn from everything. They want to learn through every type of manipulation the alien beings have to offer. They're just accepting everything. It's almost like being in a relationship where your partner just says, "Do whatever you want." Humanity is doing a lot. Not everyone in the world is, but quite a few are. A lot of souls have not experienced this type of manipulation before, so they're all for it and they don't want to miss anything. They feel like this is very exciting, and so they go through the darker sides of it. But some of them have had such a blissful incarnation in other realities, they haven't experienced true devastation in their own lives. So you're dealing with all types of beings here. You're truly dealing with alien beings that incarnate here that are searching for chaos to learn from it. And some of you just had enough. So you're here to balance that out, but it's obviously not easy. We do see Britain being hit by weather technologies, but that's all we can say about that. Greetings to you. We are the Galactic Federations. We are several beings. We are Palladian, Syrian, Reptilian, we're Arcturian. We're all of them. But the politics here on your planet, there are a lot of the alien beings here that are been taught to how to handle, resist human conditions, basically not to be manipulated by some tall blonde Nordic beings. A lot of tall blonde Nordic beings are from other solar systems that feel like they rule your planet, literally act like gods. Reptilians act like gods, but the Nordic beings truly act like gods. Well, because they can get away with everything. They're sorting out their own issues. So basically, alien beings bring their problems here, and they use humans, kind of like how religions are using humans. But you don't see these alien beings. Now, yes, there are alien beings, obviously, that manipulate your religions But it's not just religions; it's everything. It's everything when you see usually a large amount of people. You'll know when you see it. It's when you know it's feel like it's manipulated, most likely because it is. Not all groups are like that, but quite a few of them are. Political groups are the easiest ones to tap into. Religions, people are still kind of skeptical about religions, but once they get in, they're full all the way in. So you have all these different alien groups manipulating these religions in all the different areas. You're pulling people from one direction to the other and just basically keeping humans shut down. There are Nordic beings here that just continue to hold humans hostage because they can. They're getting away with it. There's nothing you can do. Well, many of you are becoming aware of it, but and you can't. When you become aware of it, you and obviously you can also get a mental manipulation due to it because they get angry at you because you're seeing what they're up to. There are many galactic beings that weaponize humans against themselves. As long as you have you fighting among each other, they've won. Obviously, you're breaking that timeline, but it's not easy, as you can see. It's all done behind the scenes, obviously. People feel like it's all nonsense, but then again, you look at society, how much of a knot society is in. It's not everybody, but it's quite a few. Even your crimes, those that create crimes, they're kind of in their little cult energy too, because they try to outdo each other. I mean, at least with them, they're at least criminals. At least they're more open. I mean, they can even talk to alien beings. At least your religious figures, your those that are controlling your religions, obviously they're not going to bring up any aliens unless they absolutely have to. But that kind of says the cat is out of the bag. They're not quite ready for that. But they will most likely put a fear about alien energies. They might feel like it's angels. Most likely they'll stay out of those subject matters for the most part because the Bible and all that's controlled. They can keep you, they can keep that agenda going for as long as they can. But there will be others connecting to the galactic. There will be religions talking about galactics eventually, more on it. They have to have it, though, more proof of it. But some are just going to do it just to be radical. They'll just take what's out there and use it radically. But also, there's a lot of manipulation involved with it. So, a lot of your politics, yes, all of it's in Washington, D.C. Of course, there's the galactics, to the aliens. They're using people as puppets there, especially those of the wealthy. There's so many different agendas there that yes, it's like it's a web. Try breaking out of that one. And they, of course, they keep the aliens hidden. Basically, aliens feel like they can control people, and they do. They control, like I say, even though these political groups that are trying to break, with the corruption, all that, there's alien groups involved with that too. Some are good, some are not. It's all about dividing societies. And if you start going more into just like you have an alien, presence here, it's hard. It's not the easiest thing. Obviously, you can't prove it because they're not really to show themselves yet. They want to be seen here, but it's not. It has to be the right timing for it. But you can talk about it yourselves, of course. I mean, you can bring it up, but obviously having proof of it physically is difficult. You go by your intuition, let's put it that way. As basically the alien disclosure energy becomes more mature here. It's not quite there yet. And of course, it would help to have some kind of this alien disclosure physically that you can prove. Like you can see an alien ship in Washington, D.C. or the Vatican, and those days will come eventually. Well, it's nice to just have some kind of backup. Like you're here to speak about the alien presence out there because it is influencing society, no matter what anybody says. These are beings that have nothing else to do. They're designed to control your society. It's not just the galactics. Of course, there's a demonic energy too, but many of the galactics are doing so. I mean, if you're a galactic being and you have all this power, what would you do? And why would they do this? Is because they have different agendas. They wanted some aliens feel like when you have a god complex, they can be God here. And it's like Alfred Pike is a good one. They can use a figure in your political, history There's more to it than that. But you can use a politician. It's like I created that politician. I brought that person up. I'm the reason why that person's popular. Same thing with the music industry, and so on. It goes on and on. So it just deciphering this, and there's time and a place for all of this. It can get quite heavy seeing these things, especially when you start disclosing the alien presence that's here, and all of a sudden you get a headache, you feel sick, you feel like there's a pressure coming on, because there is. Somebody is not happy with you. But this is the direction. Obviously, once again, proof will be helpful, but using your intuition is one start. Eventually, there will be some kind of proof, but they're careful about that. But talking about it is still a big deal. It's just that you're talking about alien energies, and obviously the beings here can hear you and they can sense you talking about them. They're not too happy about it. But what else are you going to do? Taking your world back. But you see how difficult it is one day at a time. Is there's no real agenda of when this will all start to unravel. Yes, we've seen as conspiracy theories and all that, but wouldn't it all make sense? I mean, depending on where you are galactically. Well, it depends on your spiritual maturity also. Some feel like, yes, you're going to go into a time where everything's going to be perfect. And those timelines do exist, but you have to get there first. You have to unravel the control system first to get there. And it's thick, as you can see. Blessings.